You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Hi, I'm Davey.
And I'm Mitch. I'm back.
And we are
the
Bargain Bin Gamers. Oh, it's hard to sync that up with these headphones on, by the way. I haven't been wearing headphones for a couple of weeks, but
we're trying something new.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me back. It's so good to be back.
It is good to be back. And this is the podcast and YouTube show and occasional Twitch stream where we celebrate diverse creatives and players in gaming.
While also looking after your hip pocket.
And we're finding those hidden gems.
Along the way.
I don't know.
Been out for a week, okay?
I know. We realised that we need to stop saying our old intro, which was the cheapest and shittest games out there.
So that they don't have to play it.
So I know. Right before we invite people to talk about a game that they're making.
Yeah. Hi, welcome this random person who's making this game, and it's their whole life passion, but we're calling it shit.
Yeah, no.
What a great way to introduce
I know. Look, we've evolved. We can learn. We've learned how to evolve and change and adapt to the times. But hey, how are you feeling? You had a little bit of time off. You had a little bit of a thing.
So good. Had my BBL surgery, so I feel great. I'm joking, obviously. No, I'm good. I'm back to fighting force. I can sit upright again. I don't need to get out of bed like a pregnant lady, which is quite nice.
That's wonderful. What's a BBL surgery for the uninitiated out there?
Anyone who's listening is initiated. No, I had a mild hernia surgery. So unfortunately, I was a bit bedridden, but lucky we had some handsome extra guests step in and look after the space while I was gone.
Did.
Thanks again to Jake and Warren, the Melbourne Gamers.
I know. It's been good. And so did you get much done in that time while you were out?
No, I did get a lot of gaming done. So I was playing a lot of Marvel Rivals, and I was playing an ungodly amount of Pokemon Emerald Sea Glass. For anyone listening, for anyone watching, highly recommend if you like Pokemon. It's a little ROM hack version. Nintendo, if you're watching, which I know you are, don't listen. But yeah, it's very charming and very cute. So what have you been up to in my absence?
I have stopped drinking.
Is there a correlation there?
No.
There was an implied one.
Anyone who's been around me whilst I've been drinking recently will understand. No, just kidding. No. Okay, so as you know, so you may not know, but I recently asked Mitch to be my best man at my wedding, which is happening next year. And I need to get fitted for a suit soon. And I don't like my current waist size. So I've been making a few healthy changes. Not because my fiance has said, remember that the suit fitting's coming up soon. Every time I have a drink of red wine, I'm like, okay, never mind.
Because that's how it should be working.
I know. It's a very supportive and loving relationship.
Hey, it's your marriage.
Hey, you know Anthony, and you know that
very well.
You know that that's on brand.
It is so on brand.
But it's been kind of good actually. Yeah. 7 days in, no one's dead yet.
I love how you're making these big life jokes. You're like, I'm a week in and I'm crumbling.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I did karaoke last night, stone cold sober, with a group of friends who were fucking off their tits.
I had my Instagram volume turned up a little bit too high for those stories. Let's just say that.
Yeah. NSYNC's Bye 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 has never sounded more gruesome than it did. But anyway, well, it was good to hear you got some gaming done on your break.
Well, being bedridden will do that to you. There's not much else you can do.
Yeah, I'm still a slave to Xenoblade Chronicles X, which I've now poured over 50 hours into on the Switch.
Oh my God.
Just because I wanted to get up to the point where my little mech could fly.
And how's that?
It took 50 hours.
Oh my God.
Because I had this week off work, which has been good. So anyway, hey, whilst you've been away, we had a few treats. We had Dr. Xavier Ho, which was really, really cool. I also got to meet Enzi, who is making the Game Boy game gas station story, which is really cool. And today we've got 2 special guests, one of which we met at PAX last year and got to play their game. What game was that?
That's Burger Boys with an I.
Burger Boys with an I from Mischief Maker Studios. So We're really, really excited to introduce today the brother and sister combo from Burger Boys. You can call it a meal deal, a little mass.
Oh my God. Unprompted, by the way. Didn't even think of that one.
Yeah, it is Alex and Jess.
Hi, guys.
Have you ever been introduced in such a charming way before?
Honestly, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm going to start referring to us as a meal deal next time people come to the thing.
Yeah, it's a combo.
Usually we plan that, but he just thought of that off the dome, which I'm kind of shocked by.
I know. Who knew I was that funny?
It's news to me, and we've been doing this for a while.
How are you both? It's so good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you
thanks
both
for having
too.
Yeah, so, brother and sister combo. I'm just going to keep saying that. So Mischief Maker Studios is your brand, which you are developing your game Burger Boys, which we obviously want to talk a lot about today. But tell us, how does a brother and sister come together to make a game development studio?
I'd in fact, I often call us best friends before I call us siblings. We've been, I'd say best friends ever since we got into cosplay at 14, and Alex is like, dear God, don't remind me. But that was kind of, I guess, where we started getting used to working together and collaborating on things. And then after we stopped cosplaying, we volunteered together on the New Zealand Games Festival. My background is in graphic design. Alex's background is in writing. And so we were on the marketing team for the festival. And we kind of realized at that point, like, oh, okay, not only do we work really well together in a semi-commercial context, but also you can actually make games in New Zealand. What a concept. And that was, I think, probably the starting point of it maybe coming together, and the idea just wouldn't go away. So that meant we had to do it.
Yeah, I had the idea for this game, Burger Boys, at another conference in New Zealand that we'd gone to together, the New Zealand Game Developers Conference, and was just kind of spitballing the idea during one of the lunch breaks. And I guess Jess latched onto it, which is great because I probably would have just said it and then forgotten about it. But yeah, Jess is often the driving force.
Fair enough. There's always going to be one.
Yeah.
So, Alex, the actual title, Mischief Maker Studios, I'm always very interested to hear the stories behind where these names come from.
Right. Yeah, Mischief Makers actually comes from, I was doing my own thing, creating D&D homebrew content on the internet. And I wanted to brand myself, so I came up with Mischief Maker, because my dog, Archie, was a Mischief Maker. And so he was the logo for that. And then when we kind of needed to come up with something for this, I sort of said, well, that was Mischief Maker. There's two of us now. What if we were Mischief Makers? And that's the rest was history.
Naturally,
The
Archie
Mischief
stayed as
Making-
the logo this time round too.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, and of course, it's a classic meal deal combo brother sister Mischief Makers. Look at
Wow.
this branding.
I know.
It's really all put together.
Yeah. So the guy's got legs.
Yeah. And Jess, you mentioned something just then that I just quickly wanted to touch on, because I remember Alex saying this when we met at PAX, but making games in New Zealand can happen. Alex was telling us how it's a little bit smaller in New Zealand. How was the process of getting started abroad for us, obviously at home for you, in that scene?
We had the idea for Burger Boys, I think in 2019 was when that conversation happened. And part of the reason that it had always been on the back burner was just like, how are we going to pay for this and make it happen? I'm a graphic designer, but I'm not an incredible illustrator. I do fine. But we wanted to be able to bring on an artist, Jackal. And there are all sorts of other costs that come into running a game too. So we kind of put it on hold until Code, a New Zealand government organization, kicked off first in Dunedin, and then they went nationwide. And so we applied for a Kickstart grant through them, and were very fortunate enough to be successful in that grant application. And that was what helped us to fund the prototype that you guys got to play at PAX.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And I remember when we were talking with Alex and Jackal, and they were saying like coming over to Melbourne, it introduces it to a slightly larger audience and things like that. Have you noticed a lot of return on investment from going to PAX in Melbourne?
Part of the way that we measure the traction, I've been writing a grant application at the moment, so I'm like full into my business jargon. Oh God. But part of the way we measure the traction of the game is looking at the wish list. And PAX Australia was a great boost in wish list for us. It had basically doubled the wish list that we'd had up until that point. And we only announced the game, I think, about 2 weeks before PAX, specifically for PAX. So, it's still baby steps on our wish list journey, but it was a massive help. And it was great feedback as well. There's something really validating about getting to show the game to a bunch of strangers who have no obligation to be nice to you. And getting to hear people say, like, I'm here to try this game because my friend told me I had to try it. They've been talking about it all weekend.
Alex, I wanted to ask you, because you did talk to us about it when we met you at PAX, but what is the inspiration behind Burger Bois itself? What made you want to make a burger food truck simulator, if that's even the right genre for it?
Yeah, burger food truck simulator. The sort of the main idea behind Burger Bois is that it's a cooking game, but it's not about the act of cooking itself. It's about making food that tastes good. Because I love cooking. Jess does not love cooking. And I really wanted Jess to learn to like cooking. So there was a bit of an ulterior motive on my part to teach her to like cooking and like food through working on this project. But then also just I always wanted cooking games to give me a little bit more. I like Cooking Mama and I guess Cook Serve Delicious, all sorts of things like that. But they don't offer to me what is nice about cooking, which is like almost hedonism. Like cooking's great because you get to make food, and food is great. And I just wanted to lean a little bit more into that. So Burger Bois is very much looking at like why of food. Like, why are we making this food? Because it tastes good, because it's nourishing, because it lifts your mood. All of those sorts of things. It's not about choppy. It's about tasty.
Well, what's the quote that I was seeing? Flavour, not labour.
Flavor,
Yeah.
not labor.
Great
There
quote,
we
by
go.
the way.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that, and then when we were playing it, I was like, that's exactly what I get. It's very relaxed. It's very chill. Obviously, you've got a multitude of different kind of character archetypes that you get to serve. Mary Buttermilk is definitely... is that her name, Mary? Mary Buttermilk?
Sister Buttermilk.
Sister Buttermilk. My apologies.
Maybe her first name is Mary. Who knows?
What a surprise. But yeah, some very quirky characters. And this was something that I wanted to ask, I guess probably both of you, because I saw it cited as one of your main references. But you had Ace Attorney on there as like a reference to the game, which I love that game. And I saw it while playing the demo. Where did that come from? Was it just in like the character design or?
Yeah, the character design from like both artistically and then just like narratively. Both of us really love the Ace Attorney games. I grew up on the Nintendo DS, really. Like, I just remember spending like nights staying up playing the Ace Attorney games, and one of the things that makes those games so memorable are the characters, because they're silly, but they're also really interesting. Like, you get, I can never move on from names like Wendy Oldbag.
It was something that I saw really thoroughly in your game, is that they're all caricatures of a type of person, and they're all named as such, but it's because they convey that character super well. So like the Sister Mary, oh my God, Sister Buttermilk is a classic. And the fish, Mr. Dividends, incredible name, by the way, the business fish. So I totally saw that running through there. And even in the main characters, Patty and Fry, great names, cheap, short and sharp. So were they inspired by any real people, or were they just like...
Yeah, where does that come from?
Thought up from, because they have a lot of, I wouldn't call them character inserts per se, but they definitely are like classic pro tags. Whereas I'm definitely getting kind of some Shaggy energy from Fry. So I was like, where's the inspiration?
I was just going to say, Arlo from Stranger Things is another one that we were looking at as an inspiration for Fry. like very much that kind of attitude. I don't know that Patty's got any one specific archetype that she's based on. I think there's a little bit of Dipper Gravity Falls in there
Oh, yeah.
for
A little bit of
Patty.
SpongeBob.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Just because it's the best fry cook, even though I think Fry's the one that cooks. But
It's that like enthusiasm and willing to give it a go, whether or not you actually feel equipped for it. I think that makes Patty like SpongeBob. One of the we call them generic customers, which sounds brutal and like out of context, but one of the generic customer little requests you can get, one of the pre-scripted ones, is for a customer who really wants lots of pickles. That customer is based on one of our best friends, who's also like our go-to playtester for the game. She's like, if I were to boil down every aspect of our target audience into a single person, that's her. And so that particular customer who loves her mattress topper and like absolutely goes nuts with pickles, that's based on Val.
honestly, whoever Val is, a person after my own heart. If I could have a burger with only pickles, I probably would. So.
I'm just caught up on loves her mattress top.
Oh, yeah.
We've been fortunate enough to play the demo, and both at PAX and recently as well. And for those who haven't, I think for what Alex was talking about before in terms of the difference of this as a cooking game or a food game, you mentioned games like Cooking Mama, and I think about Overcooked as well, which are these real stressful, like, you've got to do the actions, you've got to make sure you do the chopping, and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And but this is more around actually crafting something that is really flavorful, that someone is going to enjoy and love, because each character comes up and asks for, I want something that's really umami, but I don't want I don't want it to be high in carbs, so I need a keto bun and absolutely no blue cheese. And the joy in it comes, you're absolutely right, from like, you just sit there and I find myself like clicking through all the different ingredients list and studying it. 'Cause I'm like, you want to get that 5-star review, and it can be really hard to do as well. Like, there are times in the demo where I thought I crafted the most perfect freaking burger for the customer, and I still got 4 stars. I was like, what? It was everything you asked for. Which is really fabulous. So well done. Like it's the prototype and the concept is really tapping into something different and unique in this genre. I wanted to touch on the development of the game and what that's been like. So there's 3 of you working on this game, yourselves and Jackal, or is there a bigger team?
That's our core team. We also have a guy named Anthony who does our music and our sound design for us, which is a very important aspect of the game, but less of a always on part of development, if that makes sense. That work tends to come in waves. But that's I guess our core team. We had friend Stevie doing a little bit of community management stuff for us recently, which has been awesome. They've moved on since then, but it was really nice to have another set of hands on deck. And we've also been and will continue to work with some indie artists as well to create the food porn illustrations that we've been calling food pick illustrations, so we don't get like slammed by the algorithm on Steam. We've had an artist named Sharkies do the first 2 of those. So for anyone who was at PAX who got either the pickle burger or the barbecue bacon cheeseburger artwork, both of those were by Sharkies.
Yeah, nice.
Incredible. Yeah. And so we know Jackal's doing a lot of the artwork, and it is incredible because we sat down and played the demo a little bit before we got on to chat to you. And thank you so much for providing us with a copy of it. But Mitch just kept saying, like, I was out, like, I was trying to organize a few things in the background. I could constantly just hear Mitch going, this is so beautiful. I love it. It's so colorful and so bright, which is really cool. But between yourselves, what are the different roles? So starting with you, Jess, and then we'll hear from Alex as well. Like, what are the different roles that you're playing in developing this?
Tiny team, many hats. So for me,
how long do you have?
How long do you want?
My a high level, I guess, like, because there's sort of like the studio level and also the project level. Like on the studio level, Alex and I kind of see the split as like I am the studio director and Alex is the creative director. Within the game itself, I've been doing like the biz devs at work. So, that's why I'm the one writing the grant application and doing the programming. I do the UI and the UX design as well. I would say that I am the art director, but honestly, like Jackal's got such a fantastic vision for the game that I'd say almost co-art director. In a lot of ways, I think that their personal style brings a lot to the project that it wouldn't have if it were just me. But I suppose that's true of any project with an art director. And then speaking on Jackal's behalf, so they do all of our 2D art for us, so our character design and our ingredients. The background that's in the demo that you've seen so far was done by me, but they're going to be doing the backgrounds going forwards, just so that we can bring a bit more whimsy and style into it. And then, as I mentioned, Anthony does sound design and music, and Alex.
I mean, my background's in writing, so that's sort of where I lead. I do the narrative design and sort of the overall game design. I work as a game designer in my day job, so a lot of documentation. Anything like the minutia of what all the different ingredients do, what ingredients we should put in the game, all the dialogue. This is a really long way of saying I do the writing. Writing, game design, and marketing. Although we haven't stepped up into much marketing yet.
All the dialogue in this. How much effort has to go into making sure that each character says something unique, and is it all just very pre-scripted, or can the dialogue change based on certain ingredients chosen, and how strict is the dialogue versus how kind of flexible it can be based on how someone's playing?
It depends on who you're talking to in the game. Certain characters have different approaches. So any of our special characters, so that's like Sister Buttermilk or Finn Dividend, they have some more fixed responses, just because they will have unique stories that develop through the game. So we want to kind of craft their reactions and their desires and everything. So you really get to see how their story develops. As for the generic customers, they use, even though I write the dialogue, Jess is probably better to explain it because she programmed it. But it's essentially like a system of chunks. I think we do actually call it the chunk system.
Which sounds awful.
I was going to say that sounds like an industry-specific term as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Front chunks and back chunks.
Yeah, front chunks and back chunks. So different requests are composed of different chunks, and then within chunks there's sections that get swapped in and out. So there's the potential for a lot of variety based on the way those are procedurally filled in, without having to write every single line of dialogue uniquely.
It was really important for us to make sure that it didn't feel like you were repeating the same request 10,000 times. So even though you might see the same kind of sentence structure pop up, like one that always sticks out to me is if I see another piece of XYZ ingredient, I'll throw up. Anyway, you might see that come up again, but it's always going to be, this person will throw up over iceberg lettuce, that person will throw up over blue cheese, or what have you. And the more of those chunks that we add to the game as well, the less frequently you're going to see those too. I have to keep reminding myself that, Jess, it's only a prototype. There's so much more to come.
Well, touching onto that though as well, I think one of the biggest charms playing the game was the character interactions. Finn Dividends, hilarious character, by the way. First of all, great name. But also running over to just ask for something to drink. So, of course, me being me, I just covered the burger in sauce. And I was like, that would be the solution, yeah? Turns out, no, he wanted even more sauce, which was so funny.
I thought he was being sarcastic.
Oh, no, I think he was being dead serious. He was like, probably could have used more sauce. And I literally cracked up. So I always find games that are funny the best games. How did it come about writing all these different types of characters? Probably this is better for you, Alex, because I know you're the writer. But how do you make all these individual characters funny and charming, but also obviously probably the best part of the game is meeting all of them and having those funny interactions. How do you even come up with that kind of stuff?
there's an element of just like trying to think of what's the worst possible thing that could happen, and then going with that. So someone coming up to a burger place and asking for a drink when they don't sell drinks, they only sell burgers, and thereby prompting the player to create the wettest burger possible. It's just really funny to us. I've also just always been a huge. I always say like the most important thing in any piece of media is whimsy. And I stand by that. Even in like the most serious media you can think of, like, I don't know, Game of Thrones. I feel like the moments that make worlds feel alive are the moments that make you laugh. And so I always want to lead with comedy because I think that's how we connect with people and each other.
And Alex, I had a question to ask you because I was reminded when we were watching the interview, you used to work in hospitality. Is any of this based off any interactions you've ever had? I know you used to be a barista, so it's a bit different from being a burger person, but I've worked in a million hospitality jobs and I was watching some of them and I was like, I know these people. I've met these people before. So like the hipster, where they were like, this is so cool and trendy. I get to build my own burger. Wow. I mean, so all my friends. So was any of that like influenced by like any real life experiences?
Yeah, a lot of it.
A writer always writes what they know.
We've got, I think, 6 different customer types at the moment, for the generic customers. One of them is, I think, officially called the bougie customer. When we were originally coming up with the types, this customer was called the Takapuna customer. Takapuna is a suburb in Auckland where I was a barista, and it's it's very posh, I suppose. As in every Monday, I would have the exact same group of wealthy yoga moms who would come in and order very specific latte in a glass, skinny latte in a glass, extra hot. Like 6 of them all at one time. And you know, they're lovely people. But when you're just in this one role, you only interact with them in this one way. So that's the only way you see them. And you notice patterns when that's the one way that you interact with people in an area. You notice the patterns.
Oh, that story went exactly the way I thought.
Yeah, I was going to say. I've had the same, you know, I've worked in many places. You have those same people where they want, you know, a half strength latte with made of certain milk, or sometimes you'll get oldies that want their coffee extra, extra hot. I've had them where they send it back because it's not hot enough. So I've just put boiling water in the mug and sat it there for a couple of minutes to make it seem hotter. And then I make the coffee. So yeah, you're right. You're right what you know. So that does make sense.
And coming back to the development process again as well in how this is all coming together, because you've got Alex now crafting some very interesting dialogue and stories and characters based on your unique experience working in hospo. And then, you know, Jess, what you're doing with the programming and the marketing, and Jackal with the artwork. But you're all geographically dispersed, which is not that unusual, I guess, in 2025 for a working team working on a technical project. So Jess, you're in Auckland. Alex, you've said you've now moved here to Melbourne in Australia, and I'm guessing Jackal is either in Auckland or somewhere else in New Zealand. How are you finding? What are the pros and cons of working on this? You know, this passion project of yours, this indie game, with you all being separated?
I don't know that the geographic separation has been as much of a challenge as I thought it might have been. I think everybody got quite used to remote working in the lockdowns. And Alex works a hybrid office model. The office that I was working in my last full-time role was a remote job as well, and now I'm contracting while I also work on this. So, and Jackal, again, has also had a lot of practice with remote. Jackal will sometimes come to my place and we'll do like a work together day. So, like they'll set up shop on the little table you see behind me, and we'll just kind of ignore each other while we work and occasionally ask questions, which is nice. I think that's part of why you like getting to work hybrid in your day job, Alex, too, getting to check in with other people and sorry, not to throw you for a loop. You've mentioned it before. Sorry, it's me coming out of
The
nowhere.
less time I can spend in the office, here I am.
Okay, that's fair.
Which is nothing about any specific office. I just I love to be comfortable.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah,
why
of
I don't
course.
know that I could go back to working an office job now, if I'm completely honest. I really love
Oh.
my space. I love my cats wherever they've gone, and getting to work with them, like having one of them sitting next to me at any given moment while I'm programming is always a lovely way to spend my day.
But this must feel a little bit like a second job at times. So I guess an extension of that question is not so much what's the challenge of being geographically dispersed, but what's the challenge of trying to put time into this when it sounds like everyone has a day job?
That is the challenge.
Yeah, you've just articulated it. Yeah.
From my end, I was working. So when we received the grant, I went down from full-time hours to part-time hours at my last job, and they were able to keep me on. But they were also a small team, so they were only able to keep me on for a couple of months in that setup. And the intention then had been to go straight into contracting and also doing Burger Boys. But around the same time, we signed up for PAX Australia, and that meant that we wanted to make sure the prototype was in a beautiful place rather than a nightmare disaster place. So I went full-time for about 6 months, which took a lot of pressure off. And then after PAX, went back to contracting. I actually contracted pretty much full-time through December and January just to kind of get the bank balance back up a little bit. But I'm also very fortunate that my partner is a teacher, and he's, that's the most stable job on the planet. So it means that we have at least his income to kind of help keep us afloat. It's not quite enough to pay the mortgage on its own, but it it means I'm not completely stressing about money while I'm also working on the game. At the moment, I've been contracting, I think, 2 days a week and then doing Burger Boys 3 days a week. So I'm on the project most out of anyone. Jackal is also contracting, I think, technically, with another game studio. So we have them for 1 day a week. And Alex, I think you usually give us 1 day of your time too, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah. And yes,
Yeah.
And
making progress in that kind of setup is an interesting challenge. It's like for me, especially like as the programmer, oftentimes I'm having to kind of step on it feels like it to me. Alex would disagree, I suspect. I feel like I'm stepping on Alex's toes when I make design decisions while I'm programming things. Yeah, as I said, Alex
You're
would
just saving
disagree.
me work.
But it very much becomes that kind of thing of like if I'm doing production schedule work, I'm looking at like, okay, well, this thing has to happen before this thing can happen, which means that I need Alex to do these narrative descriptions here so Jackal can start working on them here and I can put them into the game here. And it does become a lot of Tetris in that regard.
Yeah.
I bet, yeah. And how well planned is that? Is this because we've spoken to people, indie developers who have taken everywhere from 2 to 10 years. 10 years being the most extreme case we've heard.
Yeah.
From prototype to getting the game released. How are you sort of pacing that? I mean, you've touched on it a little bit there, but do you have kind of that strict plan around how much time you will all put into it, or is it just like, hey, everyone, we've got our day jobs. It's best efforts, right? Do what you can when you can. How do you kind of keep yourselves on track?
A lot of spreadsheets. That's the short answer. So I guess that's part of my. I called it biz dev. Technically, that would be a producer role instead. But part of my responsibilities is planning out like, okay, well, what things do we need to get done, and how long are those things going to take? And I'm in the process of revising it at the moment. It's like pulling teeth. It's one of my least favorite tasks to do, but I also need it for that grant application I mentioned. So it's a good way to force me to actually follow through and doing it. But generally speaking, like each week, we do all of our company comms on Discord, and we have a channel for stand-ups, which like each week, rather than doing an actual stand-up meeting, because we're all working on different days and that kind of thing, I just send through a list of like, these are the things that each person is expected to be working on this week. This thing is overdue. This thing is supposed to be happening this week, but it can't happen because it's roadblocked by this other thing. And that seems to be working for us reasonably well. We should probably be using Jira or something, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I might remind Alex too much of work if you're using
I can imagine that as well. Like, obviously, because you guys are siblings, and as you said, you guys are best friends. Like, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but for me and my best friends and my siblings, if I want something done, I'll just message them saying like, "Hey, mate, can you pick your shit together?" Like, get to work. Like, and obviously, there's like a business setup as well. But
sounds like us trying to run this podcast.
One of us is the bratty younger one, and one of us is the bossy older one. So,
That's the time.
Yes, but something I wanted to ask. Maybe Alex might be the best person to answer this because you were there, but obviously Jess, you'll know as well. But from that launch, I know that you set up all that work to make sure you had like the good product to take to PAX and things like that, and it was really great. And you had those really cute little aprons that I would love to buy if you have a gift shop. But with the actual information that you got, have you made any implementation and changes from the feedback that you received? I know you said you got some pretty unbiased and potentially brutal feedback, but is there any that you got that you've already started implementing?
Man, I was just rereading the notes that we took after the event yesterday, and suddenly they all left my head.
I was just interested to know because I know that from those, because you get such a pool of responses, whether someone was like, oh, like maybe this could be changed and stuff like that, but you guys have such a clear art direction, so I don't see how much the actual game could change. But
we've had and sorry, I'm answering on Alex's behalf because you look like you're stuck.
I'm definitely stumped.
We've had like on the art direction side of things, like people love it. Like general public was effusive, absolutely fizzing about the art direction. We were able to, Jackal was able to check in with an art director for advice while we were over there, and they had some really good comments around bringing in some consistency of the character design. Like, one of the things that we were quite keen on with our art direction is not to make everybody look like they were kind of cookie cutter, dress up doll kind of thing. Like, we wanted each character to feel like they were not just drawn over the same template. But the flip side of that is if you were to put all the characters in a lineup, it's not necessarily immediately clear they're all from the same game. So I think there might be some little tweaks we make to that along the way. Maybe less so to the existing characters that we've already got. It might be more a case of looking at common themes through the existing characters and then repeating those themes in the new ones. I always think of SpongeBob when it comes to that idea of, like, characters with wildly different shapes, but you can tell they're all from the same thing. And I'd love for us to be able to capture that same essence here. Gameplay wise, the main bit of feedback was that Thin Dividend was too hard. It made me laugh that you brought that up, because literally last week I found a bug that was part of the reason why he was so hard. So it might not have been your fault, but he wanted more sauce. It was like a logic error in the background that I hadn't caught until then. But that's why we play tests. It's how we discover
I
these
just
things.
thought it was absurdity, and absurdity to me is comedy. So I laugh.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad bug.
Yeah, no.
The other thing that I found really novel that stuck out to me after PAX was the like we were kind of keeping track of like what buttons people pressed and what features people were interested in just on the back end. We had one person who designed 4 burgers, and over the course of those 4 burgers, they rearranged their ingredients 139 times. And that to me is wild. Like, rearranging the ingredients within your burger was a feature that we weren't actually sure we even needed before we started playtesting the game. And like, every playtester asked for it, so we put it in. And then getting to see that one person in particular at PAX go ham on it was like, okay, yeah, I see why people wanted this feature. Apparently,
I didn't even know
matters
you
to
could
them.
do that. So there you go, different players. I didn't even.
Yeah.
I just did everything in row. Oh, there you go.
And I guess that leads into, well, what's next? Like, so I guess there are things I'm wondering about. Well, what are your plans to show more of the game? But also, what are you working on to put into the game as a whole? Like, we've gotten some very specific things to play with in the prototype, which is just the assembling of basic burgers. But I know you've got some other stuff like keeping your stock up, and it looks like there's some social media interaction with being able to share your creations and all that kind of thing. So what's the bigger plan? What can people be excited about for what we might see next in the game?
This is all you, Alex.
Oh, me? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I can answer this, by the way.
So the prototype, you're right, was sort of our core loop. That's about the designing the burgers and everything. So we're looking at what in game design is the meta loop. So that is the I guess if you think of Pokemon battles are the core loop of Pokemon. And then the meta of Pokemon
fanboy over here. So.
Oh, great. So the meta game of Pokemon is leveling up your Pokemon, getting new abilities, moving around, getting badges, progression. Is that called badges? Yeah, it's been a while. So we're looking at what's our meta game. We're looking at adding different locations, being able to move your truck around, both managing your stock level and also acquiring new and exciting ingredients. So you won't just be stuck with the same burger ingredients the whole game. You're going to unlock new ones, and that'll open new avenues to satisfy or horrify your customers. We wanted it to feel like you are living the fantasy of a burger truck, not living the reality of a burger truck. So we played with a few ideas. We looked at the idea of adding stress as a mechanic where, there was actually a consequence for doing poorly with burger design. And there is still a consequence. You don't earn as much money, and you don't earn as much of a reputation bonus. But we play tested this with the idea of stress and just kind of ended up deciding that if we want the game to feel relaxing, we should focus on relaxing. So we took out stress and added in rest. So we wanted to introduce this idea that you could rest on one day to have more time the next day. So each day you're going to have an amount of time that you can spend selling burgers, managing your inventory, responding to social media posts and reviews, and really doing all of the fun parts of owning a burger truck, and none of the horrific burnout and dark reality of hospitality.
Yeah, I was interested to sort of see how you might take that whole, responding to social media and online ratings and reviews, because the first thing I immediately thought about when I started getting star ratings for the burgers I was producing is, so my fiance will not go to any restaurant or bar that has less than 4.2 stars on Google. That's his rule. Like a friend organized a bottomless brunch yesterday for their birthday, and it was 3.8 stars, and he was mortified.
Look, in Melbourne, I agree with that. In Melbourne,
yeah, exactly.
If it's got like enough negative reviews, because there are so many people reviewing places in Melbourne, if it's got enough negative reviews to be below 4.2, it's probably a 1 star.
Melbourneian pastime is really rating hospitality venues.
Oh yeah. It's interesting, but that's such a modern reality of having to run a hospitality business. Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see how you would balance that, and obviously you're still working through that whole. Do you want this to be a cozy game versus do you also want some of the bad and the anxiety that comes with running a food truck as well?
Yeah. I think we want to offset all of that negative where we can with the absurdity and the humor. I think at the moment, responding to reviews is very much just a prototype feature, but you've got the option to say someone complains that they asked for, this is a dark example, so they asked for a vegan burger and you didn't give them a vegan burger. You could reply with a cheese emoji.
And it's not necessarily going to help your reputation, but it is cathartic.
Yeah.
Playtesters have the rude personality type customer come up, and they'll make their request like, I'm going to hurt your family if your burger has got cheese in it or whatever. And they've gone, okay, well, if you're going to be rude, I'm going to be rude right back, and deliberately make a burger they'll hate. and take the 1-star rating because they're like, yeah, screw you. That's what you get for
Oh,
being an
yeah.
asshole.
That's my golden rule is like, no matter how much I'm not enjoying the service and all that, I'm always very measured, especially before my food has arrived.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always so like, don't be rude to the people preparing your food.
Well, an unfortunate reality of that is some people have worked in hospitality and service and some have not, and you can use it.
yeah.
I have never been nicer to anyone in my life than I have been to wait staff. I don't know why. I think it's just because I've been it for so long. So now every time I go to a place, I'm like, thank you so much, by the way. And they've just brought over a menu. I'm like, thank you. Please.
That was me yesterday at the bottomless brunch as the only sober one. As everyone was really hitting the pipers, and literally, like every time, like the waiter came over, I was just like, "Thank you, you're being very accommodating, and I very much appreciate the job that you're doing. Remember, I'm not drunk, and I'm a very polite, friendly customer. So whatever bad things you want to do to the food, do it to theirs."
But you guys made a good point there, though, where at the start of the conversation, Alex, you were talking about how the game's supposed to be kind of balancing like the whimsy of running it. So having those cathartic moments where you can kind of clap back at customers and kind of be a bit sassy and things like that, that is obviously like a really cute gaming quirk. And so for all of our listeners and all of our viewers and things like that, what should we expect on the horizon? Is there any kind of specific dates that we could keep an eye out for? Or should we just be sending everyone to wishlist? Everyone wishlist. Do it now, please.
Yeah.
Please. It helps us heaps when you do. We don't have an exact date set in stone for the demo yet. We want to make sure everything's in a really good place before we put that out. But before we do the demo, we'll be doing some playtests with people on our mailing list. So if you would like to be one of the first people to playtest it, jump onto our mailing list and sign up there. Hoping for later this year for a demo, though. And we'll see how things go from there. Aiming for release sometime next year as well.
Amazing.
It could be famous last words. Game development often ends up changing. So take that with a grain of salt. Food pun. But that's the plan at the moment anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And how can people follow your journey and support the game apart from wishlisting it?
But still wishlist.
But still wishlist. Definitely do wishlist before you do anything else.
Please. Follow us on Blue Sky is where we're most active. We're mischiefmakers.studio there, and I think we're mischiefmakers.studio on Instagram as well. We have an X account, but we don't really use it that much. It's kind of more of a broadcast only kind of space. But that's Mischief M Studio because they have a character count on their usernames, which drives me slightly batty. And otherwise, we have a TikTok account we started experimenting with as well. And joining our mailing list. That's the best way to keep in touch with us. We don't spam you, I promise. We do like a once a month update on what we've been up to or like something interesting about the game. And we try to keep it relatively casual. And yeah, we both have worked in marketing in our previous jobs and both have very little patience for like the send you an email every single day, oh God, kind of marketing.
Yeah.
So we try to act like humans in our marketing material.
Yeah.
That's refreshing.
Yeah. But you've also got I think you've been posting your like developer logs or developer blogs and all that kind of stuff, which I as we've been exploring the indie development scene more and more, that's the stuff that I find really, really fascinating. So please, like lots of those because those are really, really cool to do because it's also a little bit
that on the mailing list. So I'm glad that they're going down well.
Which I've subscribed to, by the way. So.
Thank you.
Well, that is super exciting. Yeah. So I think for everyone out there, we've got links to your socials and where you can wishlist the game and all that in the episode description. So get along and check it out. I'm sure there'll be a demo soon. Alex and Jess, thank you so much for your time. It's been so fun to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes.
Well, I am starving.
I think we're going to get a burger after this,
I think
actually.
we are going to get a burger. I'm so hungry.
I'm really hungry.
I'm really hungry, and I've just been talking about food
and burgers, and delicious low stress burgers as well.
Delicious low stress burgers. I think we should go have a burger for lunch.
I'm going to need one.
We're going to need a burger for lunch. That was so cool. I really love the opportunity to get to talk to people like Alex and Jess and just hear about these amazing little games.
Yeah.
They're just so fun and so unique. And it's a whole world, people, that you really need to get on board with. It's so cool.
Yeah. And Burger Boys is very up my alley because it's like low stakes gaming as well. I'm not good with high stress gaming, so playing like cute, quirky games is definitely a bit more up my old alley at the moment because I'm getting old now. You know me. Ancient.
I'm not entertaining this. like, what do you expect from me when you say shit like that, honestly?
Say nice things.
He had one a hernia operation and he thinks he's falling to pieces. People get them all the time. All right?
Okay,
It's like getting your tonsils out. No one cares.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. We've got lots to look forward to coming up on the pod, but one thing I do want to mention, which is really, really exciting, was the launch of the Bargain Bin Gamers Discord server. Previously, we have directed listeners and viewers to the BQN Network Discord server, which is fabulous, and you should absolutely check it out. But the BQN is where I got my start in podcasting, and it's very grounded in Star Trek and science fiction, which we've been developing a very specific audience around this show. So we started a Bargain Bin Gamers Discord server, which we'll pop a link in the episode description for, where we've had a lot of our players, but also a lot of the creatives that we've been talking to actually in there and talking about their games and sharing ideas and collaborating and all that kind of cool stuff, and just talking about what they're playing at the moment. And a lot of the creatives who are coming up as well, including we've got Dr. Xavier Ho in there from Monash University. We've got Max is in there from Nocturnals, and a whole bunch of others. So
Got me.
Yeah. And
me.
Oh, and him.
Not a game developer.
Yeah. I've also been, doing what this show originally was about, which is about finding bargains in gaming. I've been posting a lot of the content from the weekly bargain watch list in there too. You can also check out more over on our website as well, Bargain Bin Gamers, GAYMER.com. So, hey, that's it. I need a burger. So,
I've been Mitch.
And I have been Davey. And
We
we've
are
been
the
Bargain Bin Gamers. The microphone looks like a penis.
It really does.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give it a big thumbs up on YouTube or follow the podcast wherever you get your podcast from and leave us a 5-star review. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky and follow along on our live Twitch streams. You can also continue the conversation in our BQN podcast Discord by clicking the link in the episode description. Don't forget that the Bargain Bin Gamer is part of a larger network of podcasts called the BQN. You can support this and other BQN programs by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/BQN. We'd love to hear your feedback on the episode. Leave us a comment on YouTube or send us an email to bargainbingamer, GAYMER, @gmail.com. Until next time, au revoir.
Double T Media.